Well, hi there. Warm welcome. You're watching Decoding Now, and I'm Meghna Deka, and this is the biggest football World Cup ever. 48 teams, 104 matches, and across 3 continents. But the greatest rivalries are not just fueled by football, but by history. Last night, it was England which was defeated by Argentina, which it had, remember, vanquished in 1982 Falkland Wars. And this Sunday, it's going to be the colonizers, Spain versus their former colony, Argentina. As history returns to the football field, get ready for history to be scripted. The defending champions have done it again. Argentina are into the finals of the FIFA World Cup 2026. Messi's Maestros have stormed past England 2-1 last night with a sensational extra-time comeback. The GOAT was there again, of course, for his team. 2 brilliant assists to seal Argentina's spot in the grand finale. But look at the visuals of jubilation coming in. Pure joy, jubilation, dancing and singing from the Argentinian locker room. Players in a huddle, singing, dancing their hearts out. This is pure joy. This is the celebration, but there is one more battle to be won. But meanwhile, of course, last night after they managed to vanquish England, you can see the Argentinian locker room where Messi and his boys rejoice. There's yet another battle to be fought next Sunday. But some football rivalries are, of course, built on not just trophies, but Argentina and England was built on history itself. In fact, here's the story of the Falkland War that made this rivalry so very intense. Let's tell you. When did it start? It was on 2nd of April to 1982. Operation Rosario is what it was called, the greatest battle rivalry. British at the time had claimed that they were the ones who had gone to the Falkland Islands and they settled the islands in 1760s. Then Argentina came and said that they have declared sovereignty in 1820 itself. However, then the 2 nations went to war. It was a 74-day war, and on 14th of June 1982, it ended with Argentina's surrender to England. England managed to vanquish Argentina in 1982, but not in FIFA 2026. Well, just 4 years later, however, right after the Falkland War, you had the 2 countries met at the quarterfinals of the 1986 FIFA World Cup. For millions of Argentinians, it was more than just football match. Diego Maradona at the time had scored that very infamous hand of God goal, followed minutes later by the goal of the century, as it was called, leading Argentina to 2-1 victory. Well, the result became a very powerful symbol for many in Argentina as well, even though it had very little effect on the political dispute per se. But then it was more of a show of strength. Decades later, you had the emotions which still remained in the match that we saw last night. But look at these scenes. After defeating England in 2026 FIFA World Cup, the semi-final Argentinian players celebrated with a banner which read, "The Malvinas are Argentine." Once again, linking football to the long-standing sovereignty dispute over the Falkland Islands, as they call it, Malvinas. Well, the rivalry continues because it represents more than just sports, it's about history. But the bigger question is, has the FIFA World Cup become a platform for political protest, even though it's not allowed on the field or in the stadium? Well, FIFA bans political slogans at its tournaments. Yet, time and again, we have seen players, fans, teams, all of them using the World Cup to make political statements. Let's remind you of some of the notable examples. Because you had in 2014, Argentina showed the Falklands poster. In fact, you had a penalty at that time also, which was imposed on Argentina of $27,000. This was in 2014. Of course, this feat has been repeated again now in 2026. So far, we don't know if Argentina is going to be fined for it. It's a possibility. In 2018, you had Serbia's Kosovo flag, which was put on display over their jerseys, following which Serbia, the Football Association there, was fined $66,890. Then in 2018, we had the Shaqiri boots with the Kosovo flag on it. You can see that on your screens as well. And this is what led to the penalty of Shaqiri, the player. He faced an individual fine as well. So these were some of the examples. 2022, again, you had anti-Ayatollah protest, which had risen up in the stadium. And this was by the fans. Many of them who were Iranian, they were protesting against Ayatollah Khamenei and his regime. The penalty at the time was that all the flags and the merchandise, all of that was confiscated. 2026, you have Haiti's war-themed jersey. This was the design which was first proposed. However, the penalty was that the entire design itself was rejected by FIFA. So Haiti did not get to wear this on the field. Meanwhile, there are other controversies, of course, which have taken center stage. There are allegations of referee bias as well in favor of Argentina's Messi. In fact, in Argentina's match against Egypt, remember, Egypt had thought that they had scored, but after a VAR review, the goal was ruled out for an alleged foul in the build-up. In fact, later in the same game, you had Mohamed Saleh, who went down inside the penalty area after a physical challenge. You had Egypt, which appealed for a penalty, but the VAR again decided that there was no foul. Then in Argentina's quarterfinal against Switzerland, you had a VAR review which overturned the referee's initial decision. What started as a yellow card for an Argentine player ended with a red card for a Swiss player for an alleged simulation when it wasn't called for. Well, these were the decisions which sparked off a wave of claims online, with many of the fans accusing FIFA's referees of favouring Lionel Messi. Meanwhile, Messi, he was asked about it last night after he managed to win. He responded to these allegations of alleged favoritism towards him by FIFA after sealing victory against England. This is what Messi had to say. He says that it hurts whoever it hurts. Let them say whatever it is that they want to say. We proved on pitch that nobody gives us anything. Nobody wanted to lose today, says Messi. That's just how it is. This is Lionel Messi. He says it hurts whoever it hurts, but we won it fair and square. In fact, the build-up to the grand finale is even more interesting now. As we were telling you, there was a historical rivalry that we saw last night. There is another historical rivalry which is building up for the Sunday fixture. What we are going to be witnessing on the 20th of July is going to be a clash of titans and young guns. The King Messi is all set to take on the Prince Yamal. And fans simply cannot keep their cool. In fact, look at these pictures there on your screens. These are lovely pictures which reminds us what happened in 2007 when Messi had posed with a 6-month-old Yamal. Yes, that baby that Messi is holding up in that ad was actually Yamal. And look at the twist of fate. Now he is going to be facing off with Yamal in 2026. No one knew at the time that this little baby that Messi was holding up with the face of the GOAT of football in the finals of 2026 World Cup. Well, cut to 2026, of course, you have Yamal, the Spanish star. Well, he's all set to lead his side. He is going to be debuting. And many are saying that, look at the irony. It is perhaps going to be the last and the final match of Messi, but the first one when it comes to Yamal. Let's tell you a bit about the head-to-head between the two nations, Spain and Argentina. Well, they have met only once in the World Cup in the past. This was in 1966. Overall head-to-head between Spain and Argentina. Well, it seems to be remarkably balanced because Argentina has 6 wins for it. And then you have Spain, which has had 6 wins under its belt as well. 2 of them have been draws. As you can see, it is a very evenly poised one. In fact, in 2026 FIFA World Cup, it's a clash of the styles, many are saying. This is the best defensive side versus the best offensive side. Argentina leads the tournament in goals. The number of goals scored, the highest ones are by Argentina, and that is 9. The fewest number of goals which have been conceded has been Spain, which is only 1 goal which has been Spain. That goes to show that this is one of the best defensive sides and that is one of the best offensive sides. So it's going to be an interesting one no matter how you look at it. But the controversies don't just stop there. Even before the kickoff, you have speculation which kept growing about whether Donald Trump's politics could possibly cast a shadow over the match itself. At the center of the debate were Trump's warm relations with the Argentinian president, Javier Milei. In fact, his strained relations with Spanish Prime Minister, on the other hand, Pedro Sanchez, is something that everyone knows about. So here's what Trump has said about both the leaders over the year. Well, when it came to the Argentinian president, Trump has said Milei is doing a fantastic job. About the Spanish Prime Minister, he says Spain doesn't pay NATO at all. Then he says Argentina is a beautiful nation versus Spain is a terrible NATO ally for US. That Milei's philosophy is great. And when he talks about the Spanish Prime Minister, he says Spain has cut off all trade with Spain, that US must cut off all trade with Spain. Then he says that Argentina's future looks bright. And when it comes to Spain, he says Spain is a wasted cause now. Very clearly where Trump stands when it comes to these two countries. He says Argentina's future is looking very bright. But why the speculation now being fueled? Well, fans are not to be blamed entirely. In fact, if you just look at the Trump-Infantino bonhomie, many say that this is one of the reasons why many are asking if this has been a fair World Cup or not. Infantino, the FIFA chief, of course, the president of this, has, many have said, had several interesting controversies that he's been mired in. One, of course, is US players' red card reversal. The red card reversal, which both of them, Trump and Infantino, both have agreed that they spoke about. But Infantino says that he never insisted that the red card should be reversed for the American footballer. Then, of course, was the FIFA's Peace Prize for Trump, which was given after, well, of course, Trump failed to get the Nobel Peace Prize. Infantino stepped in and gave him a Peace Prize of FIFA instead to pacify him. Then you had the FIFA Pact with the Board of Peace, which was struck. Then you had FIFA, which rents an office in Trump Towers in New York. Then you have Trump, who may just be the one giving up the trophy to the champions in the 2026 World Cup this time around. Then you have the Department of Justice under the Trump administration dropping corruption charges against the FIFA. And of course, let's not forget, Trump now goes around calling Infantino the soccer king. Do we expect him to be fair? Well, we hope that this is going to be the best team which wins in this Sunday fixture. With that, let me go across to our guest. Joining us today on the show, we have Guillaume Balaguer. Thank you so much for joining us here. Award-winning football author, journalist, as well as a presenter. Pleasure to have you on the show. So, who's your favorite? Just kidding. We all know who's going to be your favorite. But this football game, do you think this can possibly settle a 300-year-old rivalry that we've seen between Argentina and Spain? Or do you think it just continues?
Oh, rivalries will continue, and I hope it does, because the banter and the discussions and the respect and love that we have for each other, I think will be something that will continue for centuries. But you are talking about so many links that, of course, have to do with Spain having been, in inverted commas, the motherland, and what that brings to Argentina. And also, there's a big influx of Argentinians, immigrants that have come to Spain, and they're all over. They're very well integrated, and they're lovers of the game as much as we are. There is Messi, of course. Great pictures you show there of Messi passing on some magic to Lamine Yamal when he was a baby. Lamine doesn't remember any of it, but maybe it happened. All of that has given us lots of layers to this final. Remember, Spain tried a 12-year-old Messi and 13 and 14 and 15 to become a Spanish international. He always said no because he had a very clear Argentinian identity, and now we face him.
Mm-hmm. And that's going to be an interesting one. Yes, you are going to put the pictures of Messi and Yamal there when he was a baby, because they're simply adorable. No other reason than that. But history being made, either way, would you agree that at the end of it, we do get to watch the final match of Messi, and it'll be the first match of Yamal? Do you think that itself is history that we all are going to be proud that we could have actually seen in front of our eyes?
Well, let's say first with Lamine, we haven't seen a big World Cup game by him
Yes.
as we saw in the semi-finals of the European Championships. That fantastic goal he scored against France, and I think he's got a game, a magic game in him. Could be the final. And in the case of Leo, as you know, I'm the official biographer of Leo Messi, and I did say already in Qatar that was not his last World Cup, and I'm saying, and this is just an educated guess, that he finishes his contract a year and a half before the next World Cup. This is with Inter Miami. A year and a half before the World Cup. And the World Cup is played where? One game in Argentina. So I wouldn't say that this will be the last one. Quite clearly, he's created a group with a manager where everybody thinks the same. There's a cohesion, a unity. They're all doing it for him. Leandro Paredes, the midfielder, said they want to keep playing and keep winning, so it doesn't become the last game of Leo Messi with the Argentinian national team. And I do think that we're going to see him with the Argentina shirt for a little bit longer. It's my guess, perhaps my wish, but just don't discount it.
Oh, that's very interesting, Guillaume. So you are saying there's a possibility we get to see Messi again next year? That itself will be history, isn't it? The oldest ever player.
I mean, the Copa America is in a couple of years' time. And the way he's enjoying himself, that's the thing about it. He suffered so many years with the national side because they didn't work for him when he is actually the guy that takes you to win a lot of things. But now he's for 6 years in a golden era, in a winning era. And I know that at this stage, some of his friends, the closest that he's got, like De Paul or Otamendi, maybe Emi Martinez, the goalkeeper, may be moved out. If that's the case, he will find himself with even a younger generation close to him. But he's loving it. He's absolutely loving it. And he loves football. So it's possible, that he goes on.
Oh, that'll be an interesting one if we see Messi again. Even in the last World Cup, you're absolutely right. We thought that's going to be the last one for Messi, but no, not for Messi. And the next one, well, we'll have to wait and see. So we'll say that the jury's out for that. But there are many people who have questioned the fairness of the VAR system itself. Do you trust it for the finals?
Listen, conspiracy theories is something that in a time of uncertainty seems to bring happiness to a lot of people. Funnily enough, conspiracy seems to make people more assured about the world. It doesn't to me. But I've heard all this, that is fixed in favor of Argentina. And every time it gets put in my timeline, in my as a response to my posts, I give the same answer. Yes, I saw when it was fixed. It was a bar in Dallas. You got the referees, you got the directors, they all met, they had a few beers, and they thought, oh, let's do this. How do you fix something like this? There is always, how can we put it? When you have a big personality, when you have a big club, when you have a big team or a national side, perhaps an unconscious bias. That is something that is in the head of referees, and that's very unconscious as well. But fixing a tournament like this, in my eyes, the biggest World Cup we've ever seen, I don't believe so. I think Argentina and Spain have been the best teams of the tournament. But as I said, some people seem to be happy with the possibility that all decisions that you put in your graphic have to do with helping Messi get to the final. Okay, if you want to believe that, who am I to correct you? But I just prefer a simple world in which two teams meet and at the end one wins fairly.
So there are conspiracy theories, but let's not get carried away with it. As Messi came out and said yesterday when he was asked about it, he said, well, there are those who'll say whatever, let them say whatever they want to say. At the end of it, let's not forget that we proved them wrong on the football field. But before I let you go, Argentina is seeking its 4th title. Messi would love to go out on a high of having 2 back-to-back World Cup championships, since Brazil, that is. Do you think that Spain can actually stop them? Who's your money on? And be honest about it.
Actually, the question should be, can Argentina stop Spain? Because Spain has just knocked out the favorites of the tournament. And it is a very interesting encounter that goes beyond this tournament. I think these are the 2 best teams, the 2 most successful teams of the 21st century. both of them with one World Cup, European Championships, Copa Americas. And in March, we were going to meet for something called the Finalissima, the champions of Latin America against the champions of Europe. And Argentina decided not to play it because they were a bit scared. So now we're playing it, and let's decide which one is the best. And I do think Spain has got enough arguments, enough reasons to win this one.
Well, they have shown their discipline as well, and they've worked very well as a team. And, well, yesterday it did seem Argentina managed to pull that one, and it was a very close one, wasn't it? But it was a pleasure speaking to you, Guillem Balaguer. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Well, it is going to be the best defense versus the best offense. At the end of it, it is history which is going to be in the rivalry, but also it's going to be history which is going to be scripted, no matter which way the game goes. Thank you so much, Guillem, for joining us. With that, we wrap up Decoding Now.